So I just love being part of this complex country that we call South Africa. And this morning, I'm so happy to be here. I so enjoyed your worship. I've come from a fairly big church in the past, and we had a very slick worship band with lights and smoke and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I just felt like saying, guys, can't we just sing? You know what I mean? Can't we just be together? So what if the Oaks aren't the best singers in the world? And I added to that. And so it really is a joy to sing with you guys this morning. I loved it. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to the fathers. One night of pleasure and a lifetime of bills, but nevertheless, I told the joke. I was unsure. If I'm going to get kicked out now, show the road out of. But I love that when my father said, when people did a fantastic thing, they menses my slim there. And we use this word so often when we mess up. We say, oh, I'm just human. I'm just human. There's a saying that goes that says that to err is human. To make mistakes is human. But to forgive is divine. And so the subject of what it means to be human is an important subject. What does it mean to be a human being? I found out in my life, when we got married, we realized that we were going to have some minor decisions to make and major decisions to make. And we've been married for 47 or 48 years. I'm kind of losing count now. And we said that all major decisions will be mine and all minor decisions will be Christine's. And in 48 years of marriage, we've had no major decisions yet. And what I've figured out in life is that most decisions we make in life are kind of minor decisions. They're not really massively important. I had a jersey that I wore yesterday, and then William insisted I have a chocolate milkshake at the Spur, and I spilled chocolate on my thing, and then I got up last night and I tried to wash it, and it's got a big stain on it, So I'm just going to freeze to death this morning. It's a minor decision. It's a minor decision what toothpaste brand you use. But every now and again in life, we're going to make major decisions as human beings. I remember being Father's Day when my first daughter, Jessica, I have three daughters. Jessie's about 42, Shane is 40, and Nikki's 36, 37. And I remember I was about 27 years old when Jess was born. And I remember coming out of the hospital with this little baby, And I thought to myself, do they know we have a living being with us? What do we do? There's nobody telling you what to do. It's just like flip. If you buy a new car, the Oak takes you through the car. This is what you do. It gives you a manual, your phone. You know what I mean? But you get it, baby. It's a major moment in your life. I had to be there at the birth of my daughter. I wish it was like in the old days, you waited in the waiting room, but in these modern days, you got to go there and be like, and I just cried, just try to hold it together or something else. But you're going to make those major decisions, having children, moving cities. We moved from Durban to Jeffreys Bay. And it was a major decision. I lived in Durban for 33 years. I've lived on the coast all my life. It's been fantastic. We've gone from leading a church to this, what I call semi-retirement. And it's a major decision. It's had a massive impact on our lives. And a few years ago, about 10 years ago, I came to this incredible experience that I want to share with you today. It was a major decision. I've been a Christian practically my entire life since I was 12 years old. And I know what it is to live the Christ life. And there were three paths that came down my road 10, 11 years ago, and they kind of intersected in a moment. A moment, not like a moment, a moment that has lasted and continues to this day. As we sang these songs this morning, I was reminded of the moment that in a sense, I'm finding myself living today. And I hope what I say today will encourage you. I hope it will inspire you. I hope something that will be said will bless you. Because I'm not necessarily going to say anything new, but when I had this moment, these three paths that intersected, it transformed my life. I mean, I've been in church my whole life. I started in church when I was 24 years old. That's all I know. And I love it. And I've loved this thing. And you think to yourself, is there anything new to learn? So the question that I want to ask all of us today, and ask this question, God, what might you be saying today? And I'm going to say things this morning that you're going to maybe connect with or not connect with, but maybe something in what we say, you'll say, okay, I think that's God. I think God is speaking to my heart. And that's all we can do, yes? So the three paths, the first path started, interestingly enough, in the book of Genesis, the creation story. And whether some people would say the creation story is a physical event that literally happened, and others would say it's a poem that helps us to describe how things began. It doesn't really matter. What is important is some of the things that come out of it. In Genesis 1 verse 3, Genesis 1:26, after God has created, He separated the water from below and the water above, and He said, let there be light, and the plants and the animals and all that kind of stuff. And then He says these words. He said, let us make human beings in our image to be like us. We sang that song. In this last song we sang, it's something about that we will see God. He says, let us make human beings in our image so they can be like us. I've pondered this verse for 40 years. What does God look like? What is the image of God? And what does it mean to be created in His image and to look like Him, like us plural, yes? There's this mystery. It's just, I mean, I get goosebumps. I think about, there's this mystery. You know what a mystery is? A mystery is something that you can't solve. Because if you solve it, it's not a mystery. And I can't solve the mystery of God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit. I can talk, it's like ice, water, and steam, and an egg shell, and an egg yolk, and an egg white, and all these similes, these metaphors to try and grasp. I ask myself, okay, God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit, but like, which one's really God? Is God the Father really God? Or is God the Son? Must be God the Father, right? We get into some kind of hierarchical system. You see, God ceases to exist if all three of them aren't there. That's not God, that's something else. There's a thing called oneness. To have oneness, you need more than one. Otherwise, it's singleness. Oneness is more than one. When we speak in Paul speaks about marriage, he says there'll be one. Husband and wife will be one. So Christine and I are one. We're not, but she's there. I mean, Father, Son, Spirit. Jesus says in the book of John, He says, if you see me, you've seen the Father. You know when He said those words, you know what happened to him? They got him killed. He said, I will come to you again. That's what He says. I'll come to you again because I'm sending my Spirit. How did Jesus come to us? He came to us in His Spirit. He says, and he prays His prayer in John 17. He says, Father, that they may be one, even as we are one. So I'm thinking to myself, How am I created in the image of God? And it goes on in verse 27, it says, so God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Now, these verses come before he creates Adam and Eve. So he's making his statement of what it means to be a human being, created in the image of God. Some people have tried to explain it like this, that you're the Father, Son, I think there's a word called perichoresis. It's a dance of yieldedness to the other one. The Father yields to the Son, who yields to the Spirit, who yields to the Father. They yield to each other. And there's this cycle of oneness and deference to each other. That is God. I mean, hey, Mark, I don't understand it. That's right. I don't understand it. I think in the psalmist says it's like a serpent on a rock. It's like a bird that flies in the sky. Explain these things to me. I don't understand it. That's right. A few months ago, we got on the bikes and we went to Sutherland. Take a jersey when you go to Sutherland. And it was this time of the year. And we were riding a bike back. It was like -2 on the bike, and getting a little red light telling me that I should slow down. Cold, man. Anyway, we went out to where they've got those telescopes, and we did the whole kind of thing there. And it's the second time I've done it. I have a daughter who's incredibly interested in the stars, and they start explaining the stars and black holes, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? Just give me a boerewors, please. It's just mystery. Mystery. And so this began to burn inside my heart. The second path was I recalled a statement I heard 40 years ago. There was a church in Johannesburg in the 80s, still there, called Rhema Bible Church. And they used to have a conference and speak about the name of Al Bernard, guy from New York. And he said this, and this is quite a difficult statement. He says, we are not human beings seeking to perfect the spiritual experience. Okay, just hear me here. We're not human beings seeking to perfect the spiritual experience, but rather spiritual beings seeking to perfect the human experience. Okay, so if you think about it, just logically, all right, if God wanted us to be spiritual beings, why would he create a material world? Are we spiritual beings? Yes. But is our journey to be more spiritual? There's a confusing question for Christians. Hey? Well, we'll get to the answer to that, because the short answer is yes, but. Pierre Talleyrand de Chardin was a French priest and philosopher. He kind of is credited with originating that statement. And he kind of puts it in his words. He says, you're not a human being in search of a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being immersed in a human experience. And so this quote became a significant path to what does the image of God look like? See, when we read the book of Genesis, we see that God creates this natural world, right? And he puts Adam and Eve into this natural world. And he says to them, be fruitful and multiply and subdue and rule in the earth. There are three things that are happening in Genesis. The first thing that is happening is that God is creating a connection with us. The second thing that's happening in the book of Genesis is that God's creating with man and woman, man and female, human beings. And the third thing that God is connecting us is with us to the earth, to the world, to this garden, to generate this farmers understand this. It's propagating. You plant a seed in expectation, it propagates. And God says, look, here is a self-propagating environment. Look after it. Three things. What it means to be a human being. Connection to God, connection to each other, and connection to what I call a generative purpose. Can you say generative? Because William can't say it. My little company that I call is called the generative way. Okay. Listen, the goal of our faith is not heaven. When I first became a Christian, we used to walk on the streets, we used to go to hospitals, prisons, townships, we went all over the place, telling people to give their lives to Jesus so when they die, they can go to heaven. Not the plan. Jesus said, may your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You see, if the goal is to take people to heaven, and when they give their hearts to Jesus, we should just kill them. You know what I mean? If that's the goal, yeah, another one dead, off to heaven. Yeah. Because, you know, people backslide. So, what is the goal? What is the goal of being a Christian? It's to be a human being. It's to be a human being, to live in union with God, to live in union with one another, and to live in union with some purpose in life. That's what it means to be a human being. Man, I was getting so excited when I understood this because it makes sense. God doesn't want me to be spiritual so I can go to heaven. He wants me to be spiritual so I can be a better human being. He wants me to be love one another so I can be a better human being. He wants me to work in a way that it's not just for me. It's to generate for others. Because when I'm doing that, I'm being a human being. I'm being in the image of God. I am like God. I am not God, but I can be like Him in that I'm connected to Him, to each other, and to a purpose. Man, I've been living in that for 10 years, bro. I love it, man. The third thing that happened to me. So the first part is Genesis. Second part is I'm here to perfect the human experience or be immersed in the experience. And the third thing is that I'm a very keen surfer. Not a lot of waves here. You would pay for a very high tide to come to this part of the world. Anyway, so I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. The North Shore of Hawaii is where they have the biggest surf competition. Well, they have the best waves in the world in a place called Pipeline. And there's three competitions. They were back in those days. Were called the Triple Crown at Sunset Beach, at Honolulu, and then at Pipeline. And we got there. Christine and I took a month to go to Hawaii to go be part of, to go watch this Pipeline Masters surf competition, the best in the world. We planned 18 months on the strip. It was the most exciting time of our lives. And we flew from Durban to Johannesburg to connect a flight from Johannesburg to I think we went to Germany, and then it was a massive flight. I mean, then you get to San Francisco. From San Francisco, you fly into Hawaii. I mean, it's like a 100-hour flight. But I'm so amped, eh? It's like since I was about 19 years old, I want to do this thing. And I'm staying in the airport at Johannesburg International Airport, and I'm going through immigration. Now, I don't know what kind of person you are, but if I come to a toll gate, I don't look at I see which gates are open, but I look where the lines are the shortest. And such joy in my heart when I get a shorter line than the other oak over there. He passed me, 3Ks back, he came past me, 100 Ks an hour. He just went to this line, I went to this line again in front of me, he has to pass me again. And I give him hand signals and all kinds of things to wish him well on his trip. So I'm staying in immigration, and I'm calculating how long it takes that stamp oak to put people through and get them through to the other side when you go into the watcher lounge. We're 3 hours early. We're not late for this flight. There's no hurry. They can take an hour to put us through there. But I'm timing, I say to Christine, listen, in 11 minutes, we'll be at the front row. And God whispers to my heart. And very seldom can I say this, but I feel like I hear God clearly. He says, Mark, do you want to see me? And I said, no, I'm busy now. I'm on a time. Yeah, God. I said, yes, Lord, show me. I feel like God says to me, Mark, take a look in the line. Now look who's standing in that line going through immigration. And people from all over the world. People who look like me and people who don't look like me. People who are dressed like me, people who don't dress like me. And I imagine people who like what I like and people who don't like. In a way, it was like a sample of everybody in the world. And I felt like God said to me, He said, every one of these people created in my image. And He says, every time you look into the eyes of anyone, you see me. Because I have created all in my image. Now, I know not everybody is living out that image, but everyone has been created in the image. So why don't you look at the person next to you and you'll see God. And your husband said, I told you I was God. I cannot tell you how liberating that was for me. I couldn't tell you what the joy that it meant something to me. And I realized that if I was going to immerse myself in the human experience, it would be necessary for me to have the spiritual connection, for me to allow my spirit to have say over how I view the world. And to allow my spirit to grow inside and allow God, and through people like yourselves and through His Word and through life experiences, I have learned something of who God is in my life. And so I want to grow in my spirit so that I can stay connected to God. But at the same time, I want to remember the words of Jesus that said, love one another. 2 commands, love God and love others. Man, I find sometimes people are really hard to love. Really hard. And I wish I could do an improvement course for them. I have a good idea how things should happen. My daughter, my oldest daughter, when she reached about 24, I said, Jess, you're going to have to wait another 10 years before you can rule the world. I mean, she just has got so much inside of her, this girl, and she used to teach me so much because we want to live this life out. I want to be abundant. I want to be generative. When somebody comes and serves me in a restaurant, I want to look at them in the eye and realize here's what somebody created in the image of God and has a life story to their life. And the most decent thing I can do is just look at them and greet them and smile. And guess what? Maybe I can tip them a little bit more. Car guards. Do you get car guards in? I purposely buy cars that people don't steal. So I don't have a Ford Bucky. I sometimes park my car where I can watch it. I had lunch in Craddock at the Wimpy on my motorbike when I came here, and I parked my bike outside the Wimpy when you come into Craddock. I think there's another one in town anyway. And I saw there was a seat, and there was a guy there welcoming me, inviting me, telling me how I can park, and assuring me that he's going to look after my motorbike while I'm in the Wimpy. I said, thanks, Brew. And I went and sat at the window, and my motorbike was where you were. I don't have my cases. So when I came out, I feel like I want to say to him, you owe me money because I've watched my own vehicle. That's really godly, hey? That's really living the human experience to its full. And it's the only time. No, it's not. What I'm trying to say is that man, that woman, that person are image bearers. And we can at least give them the dignity of eye contact and a greeting and a smile on our faces. Because when we do that, we are living out the image of God in our world. It's wonderful. And it's hard. It's not easy. I have a word I invented. It's called unhuman. Not inhumane. Unhuman. What does it mean to be unhuman? Unhuman means to be disconnected. Disconnected from God, disconnected from people, and disconnected from a purpose. People who are disconnected from God live as if they are God. People who are disconnected from one another are self-centered and can be very, very self-orientated. And people who are disconnected from God consume. They exploit the world in which we live. You know, the greenies, the environmentalists, they've got something of God there because we're stewards of this world. Becoming unhuman can lead to be inhumane, where people become cruel, they become greedy, they become hard, and they destroy. They destroy their union with others, with the environment, and they diminish their union with mystery as well, as I call it. So how do we do this? Well, it's very simple. We let God into our lives. We grow spiritually. We come together on Sunday mornings, and we gather. We may not feel like it, but we do. We sing. We don't really like singing TV songs, but we engage. So our spirits come alive when we do this together. We learn to love one another. That's the hardest one. I mean, I've heard people say, I can love God. And God's people, Christians, they're all hypocrites. I remember people came to us when we started our church in Durban and said, Mark, do you know who comes to your church? I said, well, maybe not everybody, but, you know. He says, you know, that guy, he mentions the name, he's the mafia boss in Durban. I said, really? How can you let him? I said, Brie, don't you think the mafia boss needs to be in church more than anybody? You know? This I grabbed him after church one day. He says to me, Mark, that guy that I was sitting next to, he smokes. So I just looked at him, oh, you can't say that. Hey. You see, that's Durban English. Sorry, forgive me, obstinacy here. Anyway, I can't tolerate that kind of stuff. Anyway, the third thing is that we learn to live generously. What does that mean? We don't see what is the least I can do. We say, let me do more than a little than the least. Don't give 10% when you tip, give 15. And surprise yourself every now and again and give 30. And surprise yourself even more, give more than what the bill is. Just surprise yourself. I tell you, for some of us, man, that buffalo cries when it has to leave my wallet. It's so hard. Being human beings, when we seek to act kindly and graciously, reconciliatory, when we seek to find the middle ground, when we are willing to lay down our pride, when we're willing to lay down our position, and at least have a conversation. You know what happens? Something of God or the image of God arrives in your heart, and you may walk away with and say, I lost the argument, but I won a friend. There's just something rewarding about acknowledging to your wife that you could have done better. In our marriage, when Kristen started saying we were fighting, I started early on. Sorry. So I'm going to avoid the whole thing, you know what I mean? Sorry. She's much too sharp. She'll say, what for? Now I'm going to confess this, you know. Like my dad, he used to, I know we should have, but sometimes he used to give me a hidings. And I figured out he'd stop if I cried. So I'd cry before he started. But he knew about that as well. Yeah. It's just like There's something cleansing about being connected with people. And if you're over 22 years old, if you're over 5 years old, there's somebody in your life that you do well just to forgive. It just happens. I forgive you. Amen. So the precious, oh Lord, make me more spiritual, to let your spirit move in me to make me more human. And so that was my ask. At the beginning I said, would you say, God, what might you be saying to me? As we finish off this morning, my ask is, how are you going to ensure that you stay connected to God? What is the one thing that you can say, you know what, this helps me connect to God? Honestly, and this may sound superficial, sometimes when I go into the water to surf, I just feel connected. Now I can use that as a bit of a let me go surf story, and I'm going to be honest with myself. But what does it do? Secondly, what can I do about staying connected to others? A message, a phone call, a coffee. What can I do? What can I do to live a little more generative life? Maybe it is being generous to somebody who's always asking for something from you. Maybe it's not giving when you try to just offload a problem. I don't know what it is for you, but I find that God provides many opportunities for me to be generative, to try and believe the best of somebody. Yes, I'm a guy, I can judge people so quickly. My judgment's not good. It's based on how you look and how you walk and how you talk and what you're driving and what you're wearing. You know what I mean? Anybody can relate to that? Or just me? No, it's not if you're lonely. God, how can I be more generative? How can I be more generative? Because I want to say with absolute confidence in my heart, the image of God in us, we will be immersed in God when we connect with Him and we see each other as image bearers of who God is, and we stay connected to a generative purpose. Your life will never be the same. It will continue to grow. And this is a journey. I want to invite you to the journey to be more human. God bless you. Thank you for having me.